He is a longtime college and professional football player who's now a Fox college football analyst. Back here on the Rich Eisen Show, he's Brady Quinn. How are you, Brady?
I'm doing well, Rich. Thanks for having me on.
Look, man, I wanted to talk some college football, and I'm here for a Thursday night football game in Baltimore involving the Cleveland Browns, so you're a perfect guest to have on today more than any other time for sure. What was that like for you, that Thursday night on the 6th of November in 2008 where you made your NFL starting debut that night?
I mean, it was tough in the sense that, it was the first chance I get to make a start in the NFL, and I actually didn't find out until, I think, Monday night of that week. And it's already a short week. Usually got one day of prep, so you'd like to try to steal that Monday to have a little bit of time to prepare, or at least mentally prepare to be able to take over as the starter and everything that's on your plate when you're talking about, everything that goes on, the responsibilities of a quarterback in the NFL. But just coming out of the tunnel, I mean, that's an experience that you'll never forget. It truly was incredible. Had an opportunity to win that game. We were playing the Denver Broncos.
Yep.
Had a couple touchdown passes and all that, but it was just, at the end of the day, I mean, just the feeling of your first start, primetime television and all that, it's something that you'll never forget and you cherish.
And obviously the year before you were there, but you didn't start. And we were talking earlier in hour number 2, one of the conversations we've been having nonstop in the NFL season is, where is Jared Goff? Why isn't he able to start? And the answer is, well, he's just not ready yet. And that's difficult for a lot of people to compute when you see folks like Dak Prescott and obviously Carson Wentz, just this year in general. What do you think is going through Jared Goff's mind right now, Brady?
I think, in all honesty, he's probably just preparing each week, trying to get better each week on whatever it is that, whether it's Rob Boris, the offensive coordinator there, is kind of talking about, or game planning, and try to make sure that he's on top of everything. Because at the end of the day, I mean, I think the issue with all this is we're hearing more from Jeff Fisher saying that he's not ready. You'd like to hear more from Jared Goff. You'd like to hear him say, like, I feel like there's things I'm still working on, or things like that, even though it puts him in a hard position because I'm sure he's chomping at the bit to get in there. But at the end of the day, it is hard to look at some of these other rookie quarterbacks who've had success and not think that this is the guy taken first overall. This is the guy that they gave all those picks up in order to trade up to get. So how could he not possibly be ready to take on an NFL defense at this point in time in the season? I think we will see him at some point. I just think it's going to take a couple more games before the Rams are mathematically eliminated. And then at that point in time, I think it makes sense to give him some meaningful reps, give him an opportunity to go in there and see what he can do.
Yeah, and then he's not even the first Pac-12 rookie to get a start this year. We've got another start tonight on NFL Network with Cody Kessler getting the gig. But I guess with Kessler and even Wentz and Dak Prescott, it was injuries that forced the teams to make the decision, which the Rams, I guess, are fortunate to not have to do with Goff. What do you think of Kessler's development? You know what it's like to be the hopes and prayers of all of Cleveland, hoping that you're the guy that's going to turn things around at the position.
The toughest part is just the fact that they're in a rebuilding phase, so it's not going to look pretty. It never really is. And when you're in that, when you're kind of in the eye of the storm, you have to look for just little ways that you're trying to improve, whether that's in practice or even games and week to week. One of the things that I've been really impressed by with Cody Kessler and even Carson Wentz for this matter is they both have handled themselves against pressure really, really well. If you break down the tape, you look at their completion percentage versus pressure, they've been fantastic. They've been like two of the top 5 quarterbacks. If you look at the past couple of weeks, they've handled it extremely well.
Brady Quinn joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's talk some college. What do you have for me here, Brockman? Give the poll question to Brady Quinn, please.
All right, Brady, talking about the college football playoff, which team that's in the top 4 right now most likely to be left out? Alabama, Clemson, Washington, and Michigan.
Most likely to be left out, does that include like losing? I think you're looking at Washington and the road they have to go to get there, and given how much parity there is and competition there is in the Pac-12, that's a team that I would be a little bit concerned by. You look at the rest of the schedule. They still have the Apple Cup coming up. They got USC this weekend. Then they got the Pac-12 championship, and that could either be a rematch versus Utah, which we saw was basically they had a punt return to win that game, but it was a close game, or it could possibly be USC, depending on how this week's game goes. If they found their way back in that picture, or Colorado is playing really well at this point in the season. So Washington, to me, is kind of the team that could very likely get bounced out or left out, given the schedule and the possibility of losing. And really, the other team is maybe Michigan, because they still have that matchup versus Ohio State at the end of the year. And that getting into the Big Ten East tie-breaking scenario is just kind of nuts and would be too long-winded right now. But at this point in time, those are kind of the two teams that I think have the toughest road and could potentially get left out because of their schedules.
But if I gave you the option of none of the above, would you choose that? Do you think this could be the four that we get about a month and a half from now?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you're looking at, again, four of what I thought should have been the top four teams last week. There's all this criteria and this stuff that the committee comes up with, I think, just to kind of make the each week the rankings a little bit more dramatic. I think that's why you saw NM in there in the first place. People can say their strength of schedule or the fact that they scheduled a tough non-conference opponent in UCLA, and then they kind of get brownie points for that or whatever. But if that was your criteria, then why wouldn't you put Ohio State over Washington now at number 4? Because they're 3-1 versus top 25 ranked teams. They've got a tougher strength of schedule than Washington. So it's just not very consistent. But I guess nothing's consistent anymore in life nowadays, whether you're talking about officiating, the rankings, or anything else that's going on in this world.
Brady Quinn here on the Rich Eisen Show. What game are you doing this weekend?
I've got two, actually. I've got a game tonight. I've got Utah at Arizona State. Mm-hmm. Utah controls its own destiny in the Pac-12 South, but, they haven't had great success versus Arizona State. So it's going to be, I think, a closer game than a lot of people think. And then we've got West Virginia at Texas, and that's a team right now in Texas that's hot. And they got Deontay Foreman, their running back, the leading rusher in the country right now. And they're going up against, the best defense in the Big 12 in West Virginia, who still has a chance to possibly win the Big 12 championship. So a couple good matchups, but a lot of prep, a lot of film going on right now, Rich.
Yeah, I'm doing the math right here, Brady. There's 9 two-loss teams above West Virginia right now in the college football playoff rankings. There's not a lot of love for the Mountaineers right here. Why do you think that is?
Well, there's not a lot of love for the Big 12, and you can make the same case, too, when you talk about non-conference schedules. I mean, two of the top teams, whether it's West Virginia or Baylor, I don't think people felt overly impressed by who they were playing in their non-conference schedule. So then you look at the conference as a whole right now. They have the least amount of teams in the top 25. Their bottom-tier teams, or let's say a Kansas, something like that, really makes the conference not look overly competitive or that good either. So I think that's more of what the problem is right now. They just don't feel like the Big 12, even though they play this round-robin schedule and then the month of November gets extremely tough for those top-tier teams, I just think they look at them and say, look at Oklahoma. I mean, they're undefeated right now in the Big 12, but they've already dropped 2 games this year to Houston and Ohio State. So if they end up winning it, they're kind of looking at them saying, well, you're kind of the 5th best Power 5 conference champion, and what does that really stack up to at the end of the day?
Brady, thanks for the time. Appreciate it on obviously a very busy week for you. We'll have you back on soon.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.